Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fuel for Success. This is episode number 122. Your hosts, Mike and Matt. I'm here in Chicago, Illinois today. Rolled in late last night. And Matt, I think you're on your way to Chicago right after the show. Good to see you this morning. How are you?
Blessed, man. I was going to try to leave after church last night, but I had to finish this new video training that you and I are doing. So I stayed up and finished last night. Got done about 1:30 and felt like it was probably wise to get maybe a little bit of rest. So we're going to have a very intense weekend ahead of us. Very, very excited. Do you know what I look forward to the most? Well, top three most? Is that there are people this weekend that this will be their first Mission 25 experience. Right. So I'm excited to see the look on their face and to see the change, to see the impact. So I'm thrilled about that. I'm thrilled about hanging out with you guys. Looking forward to seeing y'all. Looking forward to picking on Carol all weekend. That'll be fun. And we're just going to have a good time, man. God's going to bless. And Mike, last night, man, I know this is our business and entrepreneurship show. I taught on the Jesus Bible study last night on how to teach it. And dude, we had 150 people. And I said, look, this is how I said it at the end of the teaching. I said, look, I don't want anyone to stand up out of faith. I don't want anyone to stand up just because you feel like you have to. There's no guilt. There's no judgment. I only literally want you to stand up if after hearing this tonight, you literally believe you can do this and you'll commit to teaching at least one Bible study a week. Dude, 150 people stood up last night. So that was awesome, man. I'm pretty thrilled about that. And dude, I had an 8-year-old girl. Let me show you. An 8-year-old girl came by the Bible study table last night. I'm going to put it on Instagram. And she bought a Bible study. And she told me she's going to start teaching it to her friends. 8 years old. Is that not adorable or what?
Wow.
You see her? So, and then look at this. This kid right here came up to me at the table and major shout out to Josiah, 12 years old. He watches Fuel for Success every day on the archives.
Is that right?
He came up, started stuff. He came up and started, saying, hey, man, I watched today's show. He said, I watch every day on the archives. So, Josiah, thank you so much. I'm humbled that and excited that 12-year-old kids are watching Fuel for Success. I think that's so awesome. I think it's cool when kids start young. Even like this 8-year-old girl teaching her first Bible study. Had another 11-year-old girl last night come and get a Bible study and said she's going to start teaching it to her friends. So, Mike, I'm a believer in starting young. And even when it comes to business and entrepreneurship, I believe that every, 10, 12-year-old kid out there should be thinking about a business they could start now. Whether it's a lawn mowing business, whether it's selling bubble gum, out of a bag at school, whether it's, selling candy bars, whether it's, selling a lemonade stand. I mean, I'm a believer in that. The good old-fashioned lemonade stand, man.
Yes.
The good old-fashioned, I just think it's good when kids start young, no matter what it is.
I completely agree.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, as you sort of led into, of course, today is Thursday, and just like every Thursday today, we're going to talk about business development and entrepreneurship. And, just to start out, I couldn't agree with you more about, especially teenagers, what an opportunity they have. They don't have any real overhead, right? They're living at home with mom and dad. They're going to school. They've got something you and I don't have. They've got time, right? You mentioned the lemonade stand. I mean, that's a simple, all you do is look for margins, find a margin and take advantage of it, right? Buy something for $1, sell it for $1.50. It's that simple. It's not difficult. And why aren't more teenagers doing that? I don't know.
I think it's because parents and their surroundings never trained them. Churches, parents, schools taught them to be business minded and entrepreneurship. Mike, The amount of people that settle for average, you're right, dude, they have time. So I told somebody yesterday, I was coaching a 20-year-old kid by the name of Jeff Workman, great kid. I said, look, man, you have such a gift. You have time on your hand, and you have time to like throw into, I said, develop a laser focus. Like at your age and the time you have, you should be reading at least one book a week, at least. Maybe even more, and throw yourself into business and make money. Work side jobs as much as possible. Work like 12, 14-hour days because you're young, you don't have a wife, you don't have kids, you literally have time. And I said, if you'll do this, man, you'll be so much farther ahead. You know what I'm a believer in, Mike?
What's that?
I am a believer in the pay now, play later mentality rather than the play now, pay later. Either way, you've got to pay a price in life. There are people that are in their 50s and 60s that are paying the price because in their youth, in their 20s and 30s, they weren't disciplined. They played around. They didn't take life serious. And now when they're 60, they're having to pay, right? They're having to work when they should be on the beach in Florida right now. Or they should be shuffleboarding a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a believer in pay now.
Yeah.
That's my mentality as a young man. I still feel young. I feel like, you know what? People look at us, Mike, and they think, wow, these guys are extreme. They work too hard. No, our mentality is we're paying now so we can play later. I'm of the philosophy also, work hard, play hard. That the harder you work, the more you can play. The harder you work, the more, like for example, if I can work hard but get 4 unbelievable vacations a year, or I can take a whole month off. Say I want to take the whole month of December off. You work really hard January through even October. You work extremely hard, laser focus, hustle, dig it out, sweat it out throughout the year, and then play. Take some time off. I'm a believer in work hard, take time off. Most people, they because they operate at an average level, they don't get to really play hard because they don't really work hard. They really try together. And I also believe that there's no substitute for having a good work ethic. And I see a lot of people go into business. We've talked about this before, and they don't have a killer, insane work ethic. They sleep in till 10. They show up to the office around 11. They check email. They go to lunch at noon. Then they come back to the office. They read the paper. They might make a few phone calls. Might have a meeting here and there. Check ESPN. You know what I'm saying? Oh, go get a cup of coffee. And maybe make a few more phone calls. And they're out at 5 o'clock, and they think that's owning their own business. I mean, really, people literally have that mentality. And then, 6 months down the road, they're out of business, and they're like, victim mentality of, nobody wanted what I have. They didn't appreciate it,
The economy's bad. Yeah.
And the bottom line, the truth of the matter was they didn't work hard enough, man.
I like that. Got a couple of questions I want to get to. First of all, there was some side discussion. Everybody wants to know what my shirt says. Apparently, it's bothering them. They can only see it to here. So it's actually just just like a Aeropostale shirt. So dull. It should say "Property of Jesus."
I admire the old man staying relevant and busting out a good,
Well, hey,
Sherry said that,
I just, they sell these at thrift stores, so, what are you going to do?
It is what it is, baby. Sherry said she stopped sleeping in once she started watching Fuel for Success. Very good. That's a good point, Sherry, and thank you for that, by the way. Thank you for choosing to get up and watch us rather than sleep in. That's the fact that one person watches this show,
right,
is humbling to Mike and I. but the fact that people watch it not only live, but many, 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 literally hundreds actually, of people watch the archives throughout the day and into the evening and into late at night. We got people literally in other countries, all over the world, straight up. Young business entrepreneurs, teenagers, kids, moms and dads. So that's awesome, man. That's exciting to see.
It is.
So you said you saw some questions coming
Well, I
in?
had one.
Mr.
I had
Mike?
one left over that fits perfectly with our earlier conversation. We talked about, teenagers having an opportunity to start a business. And some people have an opportunity where, maybe they're coming right out of school, they have an opportunity to start a business. Or they're not, maybe they're a stay-at-home mom and they have an opportunity to start a business, that sort of thing. But a lot of people that may be watching the show, maybe they have what my wife calls a real job, right? A regular job. 9 to 5, or they're working for a company somewhere, maybe working retail or something of that nature, and then they're starting a business, and then of course we can get into all kinds of discussions about balance and when to do it and the extra hours and all that, and I think we've talked about that. But one of the big questions that we have is when does an entrepreneur know when the time is right to make the jump, right? So you're working a job, you've got another business going, right? And first of all, I would say be very careful to honor the first job, right? Like, don't do your second business at your first job. You know what I'm saying? So if you have like an office job, maybe you're working sales for some company and you're starting a business on the side, keep them separate, right? Don't mix those because you want to honor the first job until the time is that you flip the switch. How does an entrepreneur know when the time is right to hand in their 2-week notice and say, look, I'm running a business on my own. I'm going to go do that full time?
Mike, I'm going to throw a principle out there and then I'm going to give my view. I love what you said about honoring the job you're in, okay? I am a believer in, and this is actually a very positive thing. I'm a believer in you reap what you sow. And I'm a believer, Mike, in the scripture that says, if you don't take care of another man's, how will you be able to take care of your own? There was a principle that Jesus was giving of stewardship. Like, I literally believe in the principle of taking ownership and working as if you were the owner, and not having this mentality of doing just enough to get by, or having the mentality to or just having the mentality to let's see, I'll give you an example. I know someone's getting ready to knock on my door. Hold on one second.
Yeah, sure thing. It's all right. We'll just all wait.
Hey, Seth. Seth.
Speaking of your brother Andrea, should we listen to the conversation or anyway?
Sorry, I could just see through the window that he was coming to the door, and it kind of threw me off because I knew he was needing some keys, so I didn't want. Anyways, so Mike, I'm a believer in the principle of, like, if you have a rental car, you should drive that rental car as if you owned it. If you're staying, maybe if you're working for another man, you should work for that man as if you want somebody to work for you in your business. I don't think people do that enough. And believe it or not, there is a principle there that I literally believe, like the type of work and loyalty and hustle and sweat and just faithfulness that you give your employer, you will attract those exact type of people when you're an employer.
Yeah.
So I think that you should always, I just was only just saying that to compliment what you were saying about honoring the employer you're with. But how to make the jump, how to know when to make the jump. Can I say this? Delay it as much as possible because I think the longer you can go without cashing in or needing to take a salary or needing to, you know, the more you can just save cash in a business startup. So as long as it's not affecting your business, as long as it's not preventing your business from growing, if your business is growing, it's producing cash, and you're able to continue, you know, maybe you're able to outsource, maybe you're able to hire somebody that really is just an unbelievable salesperson or manager that can take care of things while you're working your other job, you know, that you already are working in before you transition. Now, let me say this. I believe there will come a point where as long as it doesn't hurt the success and the growth of your business, stay as long as you can working the other job. But if you can take that 8 hours and produce 3, 4, 5 times the amount of income by going with your business, and you know that like by you taking that 8 hours and you can produce more cash flow by being maybe all that time that you're in your current employer, you can invest in your business, then I say go. I totally say it's time. Again, knowing that that's the case, knowing that the case is this 8 hours that I'm investing on this job, if I took those 8 hours, let's say you're making, you know, let's say you're making $200-300 a day on your current job, but with those 8 hours, that's producing $200 to $300 a day. Let's say that those 8 hours now are moved into your business and it produces, you know, $1,500 a day, $2,000 a day. It's an absolute no-brainer. Put in your 2 weeks now, like literally right now. But if it's a situation where your business is not producing a lot of cash right now, or it is, but it's doing it okay with the current system and process you have, keep working your other job.
I like that.
What are your thoughts, Mike? I know you've had to live this.
You know, I like that, and basically what I'm taking from what you're saying is it's really all about math, right? It's like do the math, whatever's better for the business. You know, break down the numbers. I know this sounds dull, but it's really true. It's break down the numbers, do the math, see if it makes sense financially. Here's what I know from my personal experience, some of the mistakes that I've made. In fact, most of the mistakes that I've made in business came from me making a decision based on emotion instead of fact. Okay. I'm like, you know, maybe I hate my job. I want to get away from it. Right. So I make the decision based on emotion rather than looking at the numbers and saying, okay, are the numbers saying that it's time for me to do this? And you made a great point when you said, you know, maybe you stay in your current job. And the other concept, and you alluded to this, but just to make it clear, is because number one priority in a small business, especially a startup, is cash flow. Cash flow is king. Everything else like takes a backseat to cash flow. If you don't have cash flow, you're not gonna succeed. And so that's I think what you were saying, the prime reason why you'd want to stay in that full-time job until, you know, the numbers make sense. I love what you said about maybe rather than you making the jump, right? Maybe you hire somebody because maybe they can work and create increase less expensively than you can do it. Okay, again, break down the numbers. Emotionally, you're going to be invested in it and say, it's my business, I want to go do it full time. You know, you feel drawn to it, but if the numbers don't make sense, then don't do it. I think that makes total sense. Base it on math. You need to base it on math. Actually made me think of something else, Matt, if I could throw this in. I've never really been, I love the idea of starting a business from scratch. You know, like the $100 startup, it's in one of our past shows. You can look up the book and read it. I read it. It's a great book. Starting a business on a low budget, building cash flow without borrowing, without you know, going to a bank, without taking out an SBA loan, whatever. I like that approach simply because I like the debt-free concept. But you know, here's a situation. If you're in a business situation, maybe you're building product and you need some credit. maybe you need $10,000 to make $100,000, right? If you only need to borrow $10,000 to make 100 grand in 3 months, that's also a no-brainer. Of course you'll do it. Yeah, it'll cost you a little bit to get that 10,000, right? So maybe you borrow, your total expense is 13 grand, right, to get the 100, but it makes total sense. It's a math equation. Don't get emotionally attached to the decision.
That's really good, Mike. And I think that a lot of people make the mistake by not analyzing, by not taking a look at the facts and looking at the numbers and saying, wow, this is what my time produces here. And again, I think that what you said was just incredible. And I so believe that, like, if you can take money to make more money, then keep taking money and making more money. Like, that's what millionaires do. That's what wealthy people do. They take their cash, they reinvest it. That's why you've heard me say probably 15 times now, don't cash in. Don't cash in. If you get extra money, take that money, reinvest it in your business, and keep growing your business, or reinvest it in you, whatever the case may be. And I know there's like millions of different businesses, so it's all going to depend on the type. I'll give you an example. Like, say, like, I'm a life coach, and both of us, Mike, are consultants, and we're also speakers, and I've done a lot of this type of stuff. But I know coaches that charge 10 grand for their services, right? So a businessman might look at that 10 grand and think, oh my God, 10 grand for me to sit down with you for a weekend and have you like coach me. You may think that's crazy, but to be honest, if you had the right coach, that 10 grand could produce you $1 million. That 10 grand could turn you into the type of person that could cause a business to literally explode across the world. So sometimes as a business owner, you need to be going to retreats and seminars and having coaches and reading books or whatever it takes, because if you can take money and grow you, that's like if someone maybe invests in me as a life coach, and this, I'm telling you straight up, this is not even a sales push right now, because I really, truly, pretty much am out of time anyways. But the real deal is, if I can take somebody, now they may pay me, but if I can take them and help them lose 100 pounds the healthy way, that's the smartest, $500 or whatever the cost may be that they will have spent in 10 years, because I just saved their health. So I saved the person that's going to be able to now have 20 more years with their kids and grandkids. I mean, you ready for this? You ready for this right here? I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you right now. Last night I get an email. Said, Matt, I wanted you to know, and I'm not going to say his name on air here today, but it's a good friend of mine. I wanted you to know that so-and-so is in the hospital dying. If he does not move soon, if God does not move soon, his kidneys have shut down and he's become septic. He has 5 kids still at home, and he's a single parent and needs prayer desperately, right?
Yeah.
So the value of maybe 5 years ago him getting a health coach could have been the difference between his 5 kids having a dad, and now possibly without a miracle from God, which we need to pray for him, possibly without a miracle from God, now his 5 kids live without a dad. Now we want to talk about value over price. So always know this as a business owner. You need to be going to the number one problem with people in business, Mike, or people in leadership, is they stop growing and they stop investing in them. So while we're talking about cash and reinvesting it in your business, sometimes take that cash and reinvest it in you as the leader by going to retreats, seminars, getting consultants and coaches. Because if you're gone from the business, if you don't grow as the leader, your business isn't going to grow. If you don't become better at managing your time and better at training salespeople, or better at sales, or better at communication, or better at structure, if your systems don't become stronger, if your process has flaws in it, and a consultant can come in and fix that and actually save you from lose. You know, there's businesses, Mike, we keep talking about making money. There's businesses that lose money. They lose money because some people don't have an outside voice that sits down and analyzes with them where all your time and money is going, and the overhead. Sometimes overhead. You can get into a business that has low overhead, but if you get into a business that has high overhead, then that becomes a whole nother discussion right there that maybe we'll talk about next Thursday.
That's good. Hey, I totally agree in investing in yourself, and of course, you know, we talk all the time about books, but books are books are almost free. Okay, I mean the cost of entry for buying books and reading books is so low that there's literally no excuse. I mean, you know, we talk about, you know, coaches and consultants that may cost thousands of dollars. You can get like the percolated down, you know, compressed version of like Grant Cardone's Success Principles. You know, read 10X. You know, just read The Thank You Economy by Gary Vaynerchuk. We're talking about, you know, for $10. You can get a book full of incredible insight and wisdom into running a business and being successful, and it's nearly free. I mean, that's really the way you got to look at it. You know, $10 for, and half the time you can get them used on Amazon for $6 or $2. It's like, come on, read the books.
And that's mind blowing, Mike. That's mind blowing, and you're so right. Like, for example, this magazine here you guys have heard me talk about called Success.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what it costs right there. $6. Hear me? 6 little $1 bills I hand to the lady at Barnes and Nobles. She hands me this. I get to take this out of the store for $6. Okay? In this magazine is articles of advice from the top business entrepreneurs, successful people of the world. The top. Okay? But there's also a CD in here of him interviewing 2 people. One of them is Seth Godin. Okay? So I get to hear a 20-minute interview with Seth Godin for $6. $6. Seth Godin, who's one of the #1 entrepreneurs, successful authors in the world, right? $6. Not only do I get all these articles, okay, but I get this CD right here for $6. To me, Mike, the fact that people aren't doing this type of stuff, you're already years behind the game if you're not buying books like crazy. Because like Mike said, you can go buy a $15, $20 bill and literally get the advice of somebody that took 30 years. Okay, Donald Trump. You go buy Donald Trump's book. Do you know the wealth of knowledge that you're getting for $20? Or a guy like, you know, like you've already said, Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone, the advice that you're getting for $15 to $20, $25. John Maxwell's books are only $25. I can buy a John Maxwell's book called the 17 Laws of Teamwork for $25 and literally become a master at managing teams for $25. You're right, Mike. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. It literally, like, if you ask me, literally one of the most shocking things to me is that most people spend their life and don't read and don't grow. I'm astounded at what you can get for $20 and people don't take advantage of it. Like, for example, for $35 little dollars, my friends, $35, you can have a Bible study that could mean the salvation of your family.
Wow.
That could mean the salvation of your boss or your friends.
Think about that.
Mine was 25. I know you got him on a good deal there, Sherry. I started out at 25 on a pre-order. So you were smart by pre-ordering it. So my next book, when I say pre-order now, pre-order it. Save a little money. You know it's coming. Mike, are you still there? Did Mike cut out or did I cut out? Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you, Matt.
If you can hear me, say yes. Okay. Mike must have cut out. I know he's at the Crown Plaza right now. Okay, my friends. Well, we're out of time anyway, so Mike and I will be together tomorrow morning doing our show about family and relationships. So thank you guys so much for taking time to be with us today. Remember, what we give at Fuel for Success are experiences, ideas, and principles. Take these and put them into action. They're no good for you unless you act on it. So make sure the advice that you're given, you take it to heart and you act on it, and you're going to see success. I love you guys. I believe in you so much, and looking forward to seeing y'all tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. It's a pretty cool little still shot of Mike. Can you still see it? Can you at least still see him even though you can't hear him? I can see him. He's just like still. And maybe he might be playing a game with me, and maybe he's really live, and maybe he's just purposely sitting still just to mess with me.
That would be funny.
Love you guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow, my friends, at 9 a.m.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you.